Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, here it is, another Wednesday, and today we have for you the topic, why should your last decision be your most important? And I bring this up just because I feel very strongly about this personally. I feel very strongly that time is a continuum. Time is a continuum, and I feel very strongly about this, that time is a continuum and that each moment counts. Each moment counts. So if each moment counts in your lifetime, and you look at the whole life, you look at your whole life, and each moment counts, then your last decision becomes less important, because it really matters how you felt throughout time. And this is such an important point. The Christians believe that your last decision is the most important, okay? Not banging Christians again, not getting down on Christians, but they do believe your last decision is the most important. The most important decision you make is the decision you make on your deathbed, okay? Deathbed, when that's your very last decision. And I'm of the opinion that when you're on your deathbed, you're not yourself. Let's face it, when you're on your deathbed, you're not yourself. First of all, you're scared. You're very scared on your deathbed, and it's a very scary experience dying. And secondly, you're more likely to be motivated by fear to make peace with people or to forgive people that maybe weren't worth forgiving, and so on, because the Christians teach you to. Well, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing to rely on your deathbed decisions, because it really matters how you felt throughout time. Now, if you've had a genuine change, not something you made up on your deathbed, but while you were well, if you made a genuine change, or even if you were sick for a while, but where it was for a while and you made a gradual change over the course, I can see that as counting for something. But deathbed decisions, the very last decision you make, is rarely as important as what you were feeling all along, okay? Whether it's a gradual change in yourself or a drastic change in yourself, if it was made over time, then that counts for something. But if it's something on your deathbed, if it's a split-second decision that you made that was your last decision just because you were afraid, that doesn't count for much. So your deathbed decision does not count as much as people think it does. And there might even be some Christians who agree with me on this subject. They might not agree with me that everything throughout time counts. They might think changes in your life are more important. But, deathbed decisions, most people would agree, do not count for much, because you are scared in your deathbed situation. Some people think it's important. Others think it's less important. I tend to think that it's less important than decisions you've made before that. So, everything throughout time counts, because time is a continuum. You are a continuous creature. From your childhood onward, you've been a continuous creature, maybe evolving, maybe making changes, but you've been a continuous creature, and you've changed throughout time. But the way you were is still important. I mean, the way you were didn't go away. Just because it's a new day doesn't mean that the way you were went away. It still exists somewhere back in time. Back in time, you were still that person. So why doesn't all your experiences count? I think it does. Some people might not agree with me. They may think changes are more important. It depends on your perspective, but deathbed decisions definitely do not count because they're made out of fear. And so just remember this one thing, okay? It's very important to make good decisions all the time. All the time. And if you make mistakes, that's okay. But it's important to make good decisions all the time. Like, for example, Christians tend to emphasize forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is important, obviously, but it's not strictly necessary to forgive everyone, because some people really need to learn a lesson, and they're never going to learn the lesson if you forgive them. So, and when you forgive somebody, they are excused for all time. For all time, they will never have to pay for what they did to you. So, forgiveness is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. If you forgive somebody, they never have to pay for what they did, and they never learn their lesson. So, be careful who you choose to forgive and how, to what extent. Obviously, you don't want revenge. Revenge is a different subject altogether from forgiveness, because some people do want revenge and they want to get even personally with someone. They want to hurt that person, to hurt them. So forgiveness and revenge are two different subjects. If you don't forgive somebody, that's not the same as revenge. It could be a learning experience for them, and wishing that they would have a learning experience that would teach them better. It's different. It's different from revenge to not forgive somebody. So it's a different thing. But there are some people that you may in your life that are very close to you that you may decide to excuse for some reason, and not have them learn their lesson just because you love them. It's not, forgiveness is not all it's been cracked up to be. It's not necessarily the best solution, because people do have to learn their lessons sometimes. But it's something to bear in mind that your forgiveness your forgiveness of people is very powerful. That's the thing to keep in mind, that forgiveness is very powerful, because you're excusing a person completely for what they did. They never have to learn their lesson. They never have to pay. So it is a very powerful thing to forgive someone, but it's not strictly necessary. And if you don't forgive somebody, you won't be punished for it. Like some people think that you'll be punished if you don't forgive. That is not the case. People learn, and they learn from experience. And if you don't teach people their lesson, sometimes not forgiving can be a kindness, because people do have to learn their lessons, and they do have to reform, and they do have corrupted spirits that have to be reformed. And if you forgive them, they never learn their lesson. So a lot of people don't understand how forgiveness works or what it is. And this is what it is. If you think you're going to forgive somebody and God isn't, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. Goddess will absolutely excuse anyone that you've forgiven from all punishment, and they'll go on to make the same mistake again. They'll go on to do the same exact thing to you or somebody else again if they don't learn their lesson. So you have to be careful who you choose to forgive. Sometimes forgiveness is not kind. Sometimes it's kinder to not forgive, but not seek revenge. Revenge is never kind. So make your decision who you choose to forgive or not. And also remember that decisions you make throughout time are important. Like if there was ever a moment of unforgiveness in your life, that counts just as much as your time when you were forgiving that person out of fear or whatever other reason. So really, throughout time, the way you feel, even when you were a kid, when you were angry at people and unforgiving of them, that counts, that matters. And Goddess looks at the whole picture. She doesn't look at one segment and blame you for it, like some people do. She looks at the whole picture and makes decisions for your next life based on the whole picture. So that's it. Forgiveness and unforgiveness, and also how you feel throughout time matters. The way you feel matters. The way you felt in the past matters. It's a continuum. Time is a continuum. And your last decision is not necessarily your most important. I'm Sarah Jane Alpha Wolf signing off. The Harvest Moon Festival is coming up. Harvest Moon Festival, and in China and countries like that, it's the autumnal festival, but or the autumn festival. But in goddess worshippers festivals, it's the Harvest Moon Festival. So all the goddess worshippers celebrate Harvest Moon Festival. The harvest is worth celebrating. Autumn is worth celebrating. I know that it's become a non-holiday. There used to be a Christian holiday called Michaelmas that fell in September. But Harvest Moon Festival is very important to us. And it's worth celebrating. The harvest is worth celebrating, so do celebrate it. And of course, the witches have Mabon. I don't know if pagans celebrate Mabon also, but that's another harvest festival. But celebrate the Harvest Moon Festival with us, and I'll see you next time.